You ever been at that place in life where you feel like everything you've ever worked for, prayed for, dreamed about just slipped through your hands, where it feels like no matter what you do, nothing works? You try your best, you show up, you push, you sacrifice, and somehow life still keeps knocking you down. You lose your job, the bills stack up, people you love walk away, and you start asking yourself, what's the point? You look up and wonder if God even hears you anymore. Let me tell you something. Everybody has that moment when hope feels like it packed its bags and left you behind. But here's the truth. You might lose everything else, but as long as you've got breath in your body, you have not lost the power to turn it around. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation for your purpose. The moment you start to understand that truth, your entire life begins to shift. Too many people believe that when life hurts, when doors close, when relationships end, or when dreams fall apart, it's because they did something wrong. They start blaming themselves, thinking they're cursed or that life just isn't meant for them. But pain is never random. Pain has a purpose. It is the universe's way, God's way of shaping you into who you were always meant to become. When you go through pain, it's not to destroy you, it's to strengthen the parts of you that comfort could never touch. Comfort keeps you soft, struggle sharpens you, and every trial, every heartbreak, every disappointment is training your character for the life you asked for. You can't pray for strength and expect it to come wrapped in ease. Strength only comes through resistance, through pressure, through moments that make you question everything. You might not see it while you're in it, but pain is building you silently. It's molding your patience, your resilience, your faith. It's preparing you for the battles ahead, the opportunities you wouldn't be able to handle without the lessons learned in your struggle. When you look at people who've achieved greatness, none of them got there without pain. Behind every success story, there's a chapter of heartbreak, of loss, of moments when they wanted to quit but didn't. Pain teaches you how to stand tall when everything around you is falling apart. It teaches you to trust yourself, to rely on your faith, and to appreciate joy when it finally returns. Without pain, you would never understand peace. Without the struggle, you would never value the victory. So when life hurts, instead of asking, why me, start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift in mindset is what separates those who stay broken from those who rise stronger. Because purpose isn't born in comfort, it's forged in chaos. Every storm you survive adds another layer to your character, another level of depth to your soul. It's carving out the space within you to hold greater blessings. You can't receive abundance if your spirit is shallow. Pain deepens you. It digs trenches inside your heart where wisdom, compassion, and gratitude can take root. And when you come out on the other side, you'll look back and realize that the very thing you thought was breaking you was actually building you. When you lose hope, it's not because life is over, it's because you've hit the moment where your faith is being tested the most. Everyone has that breaking point where nothing seems to work anymore, where you wake up tired, go to sleep tired, and no amount of effort seems to move you forward. You pray, you grind, you sacrifice, but everything feels stuck. That's the place where most people give up, where dreams die quietly and potential fades away. But that moment, that breaking point, is actually the threshold to a breakthrough. Life doesn't test you to see you fail. It tests you to prove you're ready for what you've been asking for. When you're stripped of everything you thought you needed, money, approval, relationships, that's when you discover what you're truly made of. Losing hope is painful because it feels like you've lost direction, but in truth, it's the universe pushing you to stop relying on your plan and start trusting a greater one. You see, as long as things go your way, you never grow. You never dig deeper. It's only when everything falls apart that you start asking real questions, that you start searching within, that you start listening to that small voice inside you saying, keep going. Hope isn't something that magically appears. It's something you choose even when it doesn't make sense, especially when it doesn't make sense. Choosing hope when everything looks hopeless is one of the most powerful acts of faith you can perform. Because faith isn't proven in easy seasons. It's proven in the moments when all evidence says it's over. and you decide, no, it's not. When you're at your lowest, that's not a signal to stop. It's a signal to rise. Life operates like a slingshot. The farther it pulls you back, the greater your comeback will be. But if you let go too soon, you'll never see how far you were meant to fly. Losing hope blinds you to the blessing. It's still around you, but if you open your eyes, you'll see that you're still breathing, still standing, still capable of trying again. That means you haven't lost everything. It means you still have purpose. You've survived every single worst day you've ever had, and that alone proves you have strength most people never discover. When you feel like giving up, remember that hope doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, try again tomorrow. And even if you have to crawl through the darkness, even if it takes longer than you planned, that small spark of belief will eventually light your way. When you lose all hope, you start to believe that the pain you feel right now is permanent, but it never is. The mind loves to convince you that this is it, that this is how your story ends, that the struggle you're facing has no way out. But the truth is, pain is temporary. It's a signal, not a sentence. It's life's way of forcing you to pause, to evaluate, to grow stronger in silence. The problem is when we're hurt, we want instant relief, instant answers, instant change. But growth doesn't work that way. You don't plant a seed and expect a tree in the morning. The hardest part is waiting through the invisible phase, the phase where nothing seems to be working, where your effort goes unnoticed and your faith feels unanswered. That's the phase where you build character. That's where your discipline, your patience, and your endurance are shaped. Because if everything came easy, you'd never appreciate what it costs to get there. The storm doesn't destroy you. It teaches you what kind of foundation you're standing on. It shows you what's real and what's weak. It reveals who's truly in your corner and who was only there when you were winning. When you're in that dark place where you can't see the light, you got to remind yourself that just because you can't see the sun doesn't mean it stops shining. Sometimes God hides your breakthrough until you're ready to handle it. Sometimes the delay is not denial, it's preparation. The quiet seasons are where your roots grow deep so that when the blessings finally come, they don't blow you away. The pain you're feeling right now is not punishment, it's positioning. You're being positioned for something greater than you can imagine. The weight of disappointment, the pressure of uncertainty, the loneliness of feeling unseen, it's all part of the refining process. Diamonds don't shine because they avoided pressure. They shine because they survived it. You've got to understand that your current struggle isn't defining you, it's designing you. Every trial you face, every tear you cry, every sleepless night you endure is shaping you into a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. It's easy to believe when things are good, but real faith is forged when you're walking through fire with no guarantee of escape. You have to stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. Because that shift in mindset changes everything. The same situation that once broke you can become the reason you rise higher than ever before. Pain only has power when you let it control your perspective. But when you look it in the face and say, I'm still here, it loses its grip. The fire that's burning you now can also be the fire that refines you into gold. When everything around you starts falling apart and nothing seems to make sense anymore, that's when you learn who you really are. It's easy to smile when life is good, but your true strength shows up when the lights go out, when the money runs low, when the people you trusted turn their backs. That's when life says, let's see what you're made of. Losing hope often happens when life keeps throwing punches and you feel like you can't take another one. You keep trying, but every step forward drags you 2 steps back. You start to wonder if it's even worth it. But those are the exact moments that are shaping your destiny. Pressure only exists where there's potential. If you weren't built for more, life wouldn't test you this hard. Every hardship, every heartbreak, every delay has a purpose. It's molding your character. It's teaching you patience. It's preparing you for blessings you can't even imagine right now. But you can't see that while you're in the middle of the storm. You can't understand that while you're still bleeding. You just want the pain to stop. Yet what you don't realize is that your current pain might be the very thing pushing you into your purpose. Sometimes you need to lose everything you thought mattered to discover what truly does. You can't become the person you're meant to be while still clinging to who you were. The job that didn't work out, the person who left you, the door that closed, all of it was meant to redirect you, not reject you. You have to learn to thank the storm because it's cleaning your path. You can't grow if you're too comfortable. The struggle strips you down to the essentials. It removes your pride, your fear, your ego, and that's where you meet your real self. That's when you realize your strength doesn't come from what you have, it comes from what you've survived. People see your success, but they don't see your nights of crying. Then yourself to sleep, your silent battles, your moments of doubt. But that's where the magic happens, in the unseen. That's where warriors are made. You learn that peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the ability to stay calm right in the middle of them. And when you finally stop fighting against what's happening and start flowing with it, something shifts inside you. You stop trying to control everything and start trusting that even the pain has a purpose. Life's not about avoiding storms. It's about learning to dance in the rain, because the storm doesn't last forever. One day you'll look back at what broke you and realize it was actually building you. One day you'll thank life for the very thing that made you cry, because it was leading you to a version of yourself you didn't know existed. When you lose all hope, it's because your vision has become smaller than your pain. You stop seeing possibilities because all you can see is what went wrong. You start believing that this season defines you, that your failures are permanent, and that your best days are behind you. But that's the lie that hopelessness tells you. It convinces you that the chapter you're in is the end of the book. What you don't realize is that sometimes the darkest pages are the ones that set up the most powerful comeback. Every person who ever achieved something meaningful walked through a season where they felt like quitting. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck isn't talent, luck, or timing. It's the decision to keep going when hope seems dead. Life has a way of stripping away everything that's easy so you can discover what's eternal. You might lose the job, lose the relationship, lose the dream you built your identity around, but what's meant for you can't be taken from you. The delay is not a denial. You have to understand that your destiny doesn't vanish just because your emotions are low. Hope is not a feeling. It's a mindset. It's a choice you make when everything inside you screams, stop. You might not be able to control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. When everything collapses, that's your cue to shift your focus from what you've lost to what you still have. You still have breath, you still have fight, and you still have a future waiting to be written. The pain you feel right now is the tuition fee for your next level. You're being trained through fire because what's coming next will require someone stronger, wiser, and more grounded than you were before. The universe never wastes pain. You're being stretched so that when the blessing comes, you'll be big enough to handle it. The people who left, the doors that closed, the opportunities that vanished, they weren't punishment, they were protection. You were being redirected towards something that aligns with your true purpose. Sometimes the problem isn't that you lost hope, it's that you placed your hope in the wrong things. You tied your worth to outcomes instead of your purpose. But hope built on truth doesn't crumble when life gets hard. It bends, but it doesn't break. You have to remember that everything you've been through is building resilience. Every no is making room for the right yes. Every setback is shaping the person you need to become to carry the blessing that's ahead. You're not stuck. You're in transition. It's not over. It's under construction. You've been asking for strength, and life is giving you the opportunity to prove that you already have it. Because strength isn't built when everything's easy. It's built when you have every reason to give up but choose to rise anyway. When hope fades and the light inside you starts to dim, you begin to question everything. Your purpose, your worth, your future. You start to replay all the mistakes you made, all the chances you missed, and every time life didn't go the way you planned. You tell yourself, maybe it's not meant to be, maybe you're just unlucky, maybe you're not built for more. But those are lies that hopelessness whispers when you're exhausted from fighting battles no one sees. You have to understand that every great comeback story started with someone feeling broken and defeated. It's not about never falling, it's about refusing to stay down. Losing hope doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been strong for too long without seeing results. You've been pouring into people, into dreams, into situations that haven't given back, and that emptiness feels unbearable. But that's when you're being emptied out to make room for something better. Sometimes life has to break you apart to rebuild you into the version you were meant to become. The problem is we get so attached to how we think things should go that when life changes direction, we assume we're losing instead of being redirected. You can't see it while you're hurting, but those closed doors are blessings in disguise. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour is part of a plan you can't yet comprehend. You have to stop asking, why me? And start saying, what is this teaching me? Because life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. The pain you're feeling is proof that you're still in the game, that you still care enough to fight. Hopelessness wants you to believe that the story ends in darkness, but the truth is, every dark chapter has a sunrise waiting on the next page. You may not feel strong right now, but you don't have to be fearless. You just have to take one more. Re-step. When you got nothing left, that's when faith begins to work. That's when miracles start to unfold. You see, faith isn't about knowing how. It's about believing even when you don't know when. You don't have to have the whole picture. You just have to trust that the puzzle pieces will make sense in time. You've come too far to quit on yourself now. You've survived things that would have broken someone else. Every scar you carry is a reminder that you've made it through worse. Don't let temporary pain convince you that your permanent purpose has expired. This is not where your story ends. It's where your strength begins. The moment you decide to hope again, even if it's just a little, that's when everything starts to shift. That's when doors start to open, hearts start to heal, and faith starts to rebuild what fear tried to destroy. When you lose all hope, you start to think that no one understands your pain, that nobody sees your struggle, and that maybe you were never meant to win in the first place. You look around, and it seems like everyone else is moving forward while you're standing still, drowning in the weight of disappointment. You smile in public, but cry when no one's watching. You tell yourself you're fine, but deep down, you're tired. Tired of pretending, tired of hoping, tired of starting over. But what you don't realize is that this is exactly the point where your story starts to turn. Every great transformation begins with breaking, because the version of you that can't handle your destiny has to be left behind. The pain you feel isn't here to destroy you, it's here to awaken you. It's the pressure that forces you to grow. Sometimes life closes every door until you have no choice but to find a new way out. You're not being punished, you're being pushed to see what's inside you that comfort kept hidden. You don't discover your strength on sunny days, you find it in storms. You learn what you're made of when everything you depended on disappears. The thing about hope is it doesn't always look bright. Sometimes it's just a small spark, a thought, a whisper, a quiet knowing that you're meant for more than this. Even when you feel empty, there's something inside you that refuses to quit. That's your soul reminding you that you were built for more. Life doesn't break you because it hates you. It breaks you because it's trying to rebuild you. You prayed for strength, and strength doesn't come from easy seasons. It comes from survival. It comes from walking through fire and coming out scarred but standing. You're learning to trust yourself again. You're learning that you don't need everyone to believe in you as long as you don't stop believing in yourself. Every setback is just preparation for your comeback. You may not see it yet, but the pain you're going through is creating a foundation for your next victory. It's building a story that one day will inspire others. You're not meant to stay stuck in sorrow. You're meant to rise from it, to use it as fuel. When you've lost everything, you become unstoppable because there's nothing left to fear. Fear loses its power when you've already faced the worst and survived. You start to understand that hope doesn't come from the outside, it's built from within. It's the decision to get up even when you don't feel like it. It's the courage to try again even after failing 100 times. You can't control what broke you, but you can control how you rebuild. You can't erase the past, but you can create a future that makes it worth it. You don't have to know how it'll all work out. You just have to take one more step forward, one more breath, one more chance on yourself. When life hits you so hard that you can't see a way out, it's natural to want to shut down, to stop trying, to stop believing. Losing hope doesn't always happen all at once. Sometimes it fades little by little. Each time something you cared about falls apart. You get tired of hearing people say, "Stay strong," because they don't understand that you've been trying to stay strong for too long. But here's the truth. Sometimes life has to break you in order to rebuild you into the person you were meant to be. You're not broken because you're weak. You're being reshaped because you're chosen for something greater. Every painful season carries a hidden lesson, and though you might not see it now, that lesson will become the foundation of your strength later. Life doesn't waste pain. What you're going through right now might be the exact thing that prepares you for what you've been asking for. When you lose everything that made you feel safe, that's when you start to depend on what's real. You learn that real strength doesn't come from pretending to be okay. It comes from admitting that you're not and choosing to keep going anyway. You learn that faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting that there's a reason even when you can't see one. It's easy to believe when everything's going right, but real hope is born in darkness. It's born in the moments when you cry yourself to sleep and still wake up deciding to try again. You may not feel it, but every small act of perseverance is you growing. Every time you choose not to give up, you're building resilience that will carry you through the next storm. The world will try to convince you that failure defines you, that pain means you're doing something wrong, but in reality, it means you're alive. It means you're still in the fight. The ones who achieve great things aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who rise every single time they do. Sometimes you've got to stop focusing on how far you still have to go and start recognizing how far you've already come. You've survived situations you once thought would break you. You've endured pain you didn't think you could handle. That means you're stronger than you think. Hope isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It's that small voice inside saying, keep going. You might not see progress, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Seeds take time to grow beneath the soil before they break through the surface, and your growth works the same way. Just because you can't see the results yet doesn't mean your effort is wasted. Every prayer, every tear, every sleepless night is watering something greater. One day, everything that didn't make sense will come together, and you'll look back and realize that the pain wasn't the end of your story. It was the turning point that gave your life meaning. When you lose all hope, the world starts to feel small. Every dream feels too far away, every goal too heavy to chase. You start convincing yourself that maybe this is it. Maybe this is all you're ever going to be. That's what hopelessness does. It blinds you to your potential and makes you forget who you are. But what you need to understand is that the same fire that once burned bright in you is still there, waiting to be reignited. Life has a way of dimming your light with disappointments, failures, and heartbreaks, but it can't take away the fire within you unless you let it. The pain you feel isn't a sign that you're finished. It's a sign that you're being stretched for something bigger. You have to stop seeing failure as final and start seeing it as feedback. Every time life knocks you down, it's showing you where you need to grow, what you need to release, and what's still holding you back. The reason some people never rise again is because they let failure define them instead of refine them. You can't let one bad chapter convince you that the story is over. Sometimes you've got to lose everything you thought you needed so you can find what really matters. The people who left, the things that fell apart, the moments that broke you, they weren't the end, they were redirection. You've got to stop mourning what didn't work out and start preparing for what's coming next. The truth is, hopelessness is a thief. It steals your joy, your confidence, and your vision, but it can't take your purpose. That's something life can't touch. You still have a reason to wake up, even if you can't see it right now. You still have something to give, something to build, something to become. Sometimes the very thing that feels like the end is actually the beginning of your transformation. You just can't see it because you're still standing in the ashes. But from ashes, beauty can rise. From endings, new beginnings are born. You've got to remind yourself that pain is not permanent. You've got to stop replaying your past and start reclaiming your future. The more you focus on what broke you, the less energy you have to rebuild. You're not meant to stay stuck in the same story. You're meant to write a new one. The strength you've been praying for is already inside you, but you'll never find it until you start moving again. Even if it's just one step, even if it's slow, motion brings momentum, and momentum brings hope. You have to trust that even the smallest step forward is progress. The mountain may seem huge, but every climb begins with one step. The people who seem strong aren't fearless. They're just the ones who decided not to stop. You've got to make that decision too. You've got to rise even when it hurts, even when no one claps, even when you're unsure. Because the moment you move, hope moves with you. When you lose all hope, your mind becomes your biggest enemy. It starts playing tricks on you, telling you that you're not enough, that you failed too many times to recover, that maybe your dreams were never meant for you. But that voice is lying. It's not the truth. It's fear dressed as logic. Fear wants you to stop before you discover what you're capable of. Fear knows that if you ever push through this pain, you'll become unstoppable. You've got to learn to separate your thoughts from your truth. Your mind can tell you that you're done, but your spirit knows better. Deep inside, there's a version of you that refuses to quit, no matter how heavy life gets. That's the part you've got to listen to. Because the battle isn't out there. It's in here, inside your head, inside your heart. When hope fades, you got to become your own encourager. You can't wait for someone to come save you, to come remind you of your worth. You got to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're still here, that you still matter, that you still have something to give. That's where real power begins, with self-belief. The world will try to break you down, but it can't destroy someone who refuses to stop believing in themselves. You've got to start focusing on what's in your control. You can't control how people treat you, but you can control how you react. You can't control the timing of blessings, but you can control your preparation. You can't control the outcome, but you can control your effort. When life feels out of control, start small. Wake up and take one action toward your future, no matter how small it seems. Movement builds momentum, and momentum brings back hope. It doesn't matter if it's just showing up, praying again, writing down your goals, or forgiving yourself for the mistakes you've made. Every small act of courage counts. The thing about hopelessness is that it thrives in stillness. The longer you stay down, the louder it gets. But once you move, once you take that first step, that darkness starts to lose its grip. You start to see that you're stronger than your situation, that you've survived worse, and you're still breathing. The fact that you're still alive means there's still purpose in you. You might not feel it right now, but your story isn't over. You've got to stop defining yourself by the chapter you're in and start believing in the ending that's still being written. Life doesn't promise easy roads, but it promises opportunity to rebuild, to grow, to start again. You may have lost people, time, and dreams, but you haven't lost your power to change what comes next. The future is not built by the strongest or the luckiest. It's built by those who refuse to give up when the world tells them to quit. Every breath you take is a new beginning, and every step you make is proof that hope is never truly gone.